one of the biggest messages that I want to get across. Two messages. One is like the measure twice, cut once. Like it's think about it twice before you act, and then the other one is what I said is the importance of starting now. So like, what does your like brainstorming process look like when creating a plan and getting started on a new idea or or like bringing those ideas into fruition?
Well, I start with my journal. I start with my book,
Okay.
and I start with an idea. And before I even try to assemble a team for the idea, I
Hmm.
have to be excited about the idea. I almost have to see it won and already. Like I almost have to feel like,
Hmm.
oh, this is gonna win.
Yeah.
And then once I got that feeling, I start doing homework on who's my competition, what's my competition, what's the marketplace, you know, what's the market share, right? And the
Hmm.
reason why we say what's the market share is because let's say if you wanted to start a Q-tip company, right? It's like these Q-tips really clean your ears. I came up with this idea how to make a dope Q-tip, right?
Hmm.
Like, and you feel like that's going to get you up out of your situation. You feel like you're the only person that have it. You feel
Hmm.
like you out of here.
Yeah.
What you're
That.
not doing is what a lot of people don't do is they don't really look at the marketplace, right?
Hmm.
So your idea might be the best in the world, but it might be only 5% margin on the market share because Johnson and Johnson, this one, that one, they got hundreds of billions in that particular space,
Yeah.
right? So now go rethink your business. Is it worth me fighting for that 5%, which I might be 1% in that overall market?
Hmm.
Or do I got to think of something different because there's really no space for me no matter how good my plan is? Because if I'm not going to come in with, $1 billion plus to the table, I'm
Hmm.
never even going to get past the 5% market share, let alone the
Yeah.
10% market share. So, a lot of things I had ideas for, I had to take off the table because it was just not enough space,
Yeah.
and so we got to create our own spaces, because it's a big world out here and people been making money for a long time, and these
Oh,
corporations been owning these spaces for many years, so
yeah.
to get in and to do
And they're
something
not just gonna
dynamic.
give it up.
No, they're not going to give it up. They're going to buy you up before they give it up. You can bet that.
Yeah. How important is like feedback to you? So we have like a bunch of different places that we can gather feedback from Twitter and social media, or from friends and family, or from email, and all of this. We have like all these different spaces. But how important is like gathering feedback once you get to the idea stage?
Depends on the idea. Feedback is good, and sometimes feedback is bad,
Hmm.
right? Because a lot of people, it's easier for people to give negative feedback, right? Especially if they don't
Yeah.
understand something. A lot of people don't. They rather diss something if they can't understand it instead of saying, you know what, I really didn't understand that. Can you explain that again? Instead, they'll say, I ain't messing with that. Why are you not messing with it? Because you don't understand it, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really listen. You have to know what you have and give that time um, for that idea to come to fruition. And it's just like, you know, if I was to explain to people no commissions, my art fair,
Yeah.
people kind of understood it, but they didn't really understand it. So, I had to tell people, I said, look, we have to give our culture, we have to have patience with our culture.
Hmm.
We have to have patience with them. And that's why putting on the shows and traveling around the world where people can touch, see, feel, hear, instead of just going straight to the technology side of it. No, let's get them a physical side of it where they can understand and you get to see the real proof of concept and not just running for
Yeah.
the
Can't
money on the
catch up.
technology side. I just always wanted to, I always wanted people to look at me, a guy from the Bronx, which AKA means no excuses, right?
Yeah.
And so I just always want
Absolutely.
people to look at me and it's like, man, you know what? Why can't I do this? Didn't Swizz do this? Well, I can't do this. Didn't Swizz show do that? Well, I can't travel this. Wasn't Swizz just there? But like I always would like to people to use my name as a reference point of hope and success and open minded, like and jump up out the box.
Some trends remain, some will go. What do you think is going to be the same like after COVID versus things that are going to change based off of what's come out of COVID?
I think what's going to stay after COVID is originality, timelessness, good intentions, creativity, all of the basics, right?
Mm,
That's one thing that's people are going to always want is authenticity. They're always going to want quality, right? Now, what I hope is that people taking this time to become better people because we
mm,
need that more than anything, right? We need better us. We need better people, and it starts. We could easily point at somebody and say, "Oh, that person needs to be a better person," but I
yeah,
say we point at ourselves. We point at ourselves first. Like
absolutely.
let's become the best you can be. Look in the
Mm,
mirror and become that best role model. Be your own role model first, and then you can be another role model before we start pointing and talking about what this person ain't doing, what that person should be doing. What are
yeah,
you doing? Is the big question.
yeah,
And that's
mm,
what a lot of people got to start asking themselves. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can sit there and say what everybody's not doing, but what are you
mm,
doing? So
mm,
hopefully, more people will be doing what they should be doing. Forget after COVID. Start right now. Like, why we gotta
yeah,
wait till after COVID to do great things? Like, this is the
mm,
perfect time to do great things. Some ways our peers choose to act and different things like
yeah,
that. There are good
yeah.
people in hip hop. And a lot of those guys that's putting on that role on them videos, they not even really like that. They actually
Not
good
at all.
guys too, but they just
Yeah,
trying to feed their family, and that's how that. Unfortunately, that's how they got to market themselves at those particular times. I can't tell
yeah,
nobody how to hustle. I was a rough rider. I'm still a rough rider, but I started off
mm,
with that I don't give a f attitude,
mm,
and but there's a difference, right? So you can start with that attitude, but you got to know when to graduate. You got
yeah,
to know when to graduate your mentor. You got to know when to graduate your audience. You got to know when to graduate your surroundings. You got to know when to graduate and excel. You can't still. I would hate to be the Swiss that I was when I was 18.
yeah.
That means I've went nowhere. Tomorrow I'll be 42, and I'm happy where I'm at 42. You know, alhamdulillah to that. Although there's been a lot of different times I thought I wanted to take things back, I realized that those were lessons, and I realized those lessons have allowed me to walk this earth strong and travel this globe strong with confidence, with something that people can't buy. Common sense is very expensive. Common sense is very
Absolutely.
expensive. It's priceless, actually. I know billionaires without common sense, right? So I just, I'm riding with the good times and I'm riding with the bad times because that's the balance of life. Anybody tell you that life is all good, you better question that person because
Yeah,
that's a person that's not being real with themselves and not being real with you,
yeah,
right? And so the universe doesn't put anything in front of us that we can't handle. Now, how we handle it, that's on us. And so I try to handle every situation as much as possible, um, as rational as possible. I encourage everybody watching this to know that sky is not the limits, it's just a view. Why should the skies be your limits when it's footprints on the moon? And then I want you to also know that life begins after your comfort zone. It's easy to be comfortable, but step outside of your comfort zone so life can begin. You understand? Like we gotta look, all they're gonna do is say no. And what we do, we just try again. Dust your shoulders off and try again. Turn that no into a yes. Turn that yes into definitely. Turn that definitely into absolutely. You know,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
let's stop playing victim as a culture. They
Yeah,
got me like this. They got me like that. Okay, forget all that.